What's going on, guys? Greek Freak here, and in this video we're going to be talking about a topic that sort of came up that I just really am stunned about that they're even talking about, and it's even being considered, which is that the rumor that the Russell Westbrook should be traded from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, obviously, I think the fact that if you're a team that would want to acquire him, yes, that would obviously be something that you would want to happen for your team. But as far as from Oklahoma's perspective, why would you want to trade away Russell Westbrook? I've been hearing lots of things as far as from different shows that it's Russell Westbrook's fault that they lost the series and all that, which is obviously evidently not true at all. And if you really did want to trade Russell Westbrook, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I'm just making this video really to clarify directly how it makes absolutely no sense. The number one reason why this obviously makes no sense is the fact that he has multiple years on his contract. When you think about players who are that are being talked about in trade rumors, usually it's people like Kawhi Leonard and other people like that who have 1 year left on their deal, and you would rather trade them than let them walk away, or somebody who obviously seems disinterested in your own franchise. But if they're obviously evidently showing loyalty towards your team, then why directly trade them for something that you're hoping is going to be a different value? Now, obviously, this has happened with some other players, but we always consider whenever you trade a superstar, you're on the losing end of the deal. And you're talking about a team in Oklahoma City that's not going to attract free agents, really. And the only chance that you have of attracting free agents are other superstar players like Russell Westbrook. I've heard lots of things also that things like Paul George is going to leave due to Oklahoma City and because of Russell Westbrook in particular, which would be a falsified lie. We obviously know, evident in previous videos I've done, that he wanted to join the Los Angeles Lakers before even being traded to Oklahoma City. That's obvious that making that trade, you knew that was a risk that was going to be made in that trade. And another main problem I really think of why this is actually popping up, which is the fact that the false narrative that the Oklahoma City Thunder were going to be this very great team. Now, obviously, they did have a few injuries with some of their defensive players, such as Robertson, but you obviously have to take into account, like in my previous video of 2012 Oklahoma City versus 2017, or maybe I put 18 for that one, but it's kind of obvious that, like I broke down, the bench was the main problem. Yes, you have 3 star players, and one being Carmelo Anthony, who obviously underplayed to his level and really did not even cause into a factor in the playoffs at all. You have things like that that just obviously show the fact that you need a bench. You need more depth into your team. A team like the Utah Jazz obviously played with their depth. They had multiple positions that knew exactly what their roles were and how to contribute to the offense. Obviously, Oklahoma City struggles with three-point shooting outside of their big three whatsoever, as I know very little as far as their bench that can really make threes consistently that you can rely on. Now, obviously, that's one of the major problems. You wouldn't want to trade away a player that has shown the fact that he's going to stay, and you obviously have him to a location that doesn't attract many free agents, such as big markets such as Los Angeles and New York and other places, which even teams like that have struggled to even get free agents as well lately. And it really, like we always do talk about, is depending on talent in those places as well, considering the fact that it's not the same issue it was before where the bigger markets could pay you more. It's actually more evidence that the smaller markets can pay you more depending on what team you were drafted by. And also, I'm going to talk about what the real problem is with Oklahoma City and their first and major concern. Of course, Paul George is a major thing that it depends on very much where Oklahoma City is directly going to go from here. But the main problem being with the contract with Carmelo Anthony. Obviously, he has a player option, which he will most likely try to accept with $28 million next year. Or obviously, I don't feel like they'll be a major factor next year. You already know the fact that Russell Westbrook can carry a team with low talent to even the playoffs in the West. Now, of course, the playoffs in the West, I believe, are even getting tougher than they were previously. But we do know the fact he can have sustained that type of level. With that being noted, you have to really try to convince Carmelo Anthony to take less money. Now, my main option would be to try to convince him to take less money and restructure his deal with them and be able to either trade him or try to move him on to another franchise. Now, of course, we know the fact he won't get paid much money. So I would try to make a deal that we could restructure the deal and you could try to trade him away or keep him on the team for a lower amount of money. Of course, that's very unlikely considering the fact of a high pay of $28 million, which I would threaten with the fact that I wouldn't play him, especially considering his comments about not willing to change his role on the team. I would directly use that, and maybe that would convince him, considering the fact it shows the fact he does care about his play rather than directly just money as an altercation there. And if you were able to move a player as far as Carmelo Anthony, I would try to do it somewhere that he obviously would like to do. Obviously, I think he has a no trade clause, which means he can choose whether or not to lift it once again, which I would try to do for a place such as Miami, a place of a location he likes. He obviously is friends with Dwayne Wade, which I believe will be coming around for another year. Obviously, that's not directly proven. He could retire, but I hardly would doubt it this year considering how good he did in the playoffs. And so therefore, I think he could do that, especially if you have no taxes as far as your contract. If you get moved to Miami or a location like that, I think the fact that they're discomforting want in Hassan Whiteside and wanting to remove that contract from Miami, that's an actual realistic ability. Of course, I don't believe, once again, if he does not take his player option off for the $28 million, I don't think anybody would try to trade for that contract. But if they could restructure the deal, I believe that would be possible. But also, the reason why is also he would have the 1 year left, which would allow him to get that one last payday. And somebody like Miami, who said they don't want that huge contract to Hassan Whiteside, would really want to get rid of that multiple years of having that type of cap being used up, which I'm probably going to make a video on Hassan Whiteside later on. But guys, tell me what your guys' thoughts are. Do you really believe the fact that moving Russell Westbrook from an Oklahoma City perspective would actually be a good idea, which I think is just ludicrous? And if you do, and since it is something, I probably might make a video as far as what would be an interesting place for him to be traded to. But where do you think the fact would be a very interesting place for him to play to contend for a title? And if you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Army today. And as always, this is Sparta.